Every year for the past couple of years for my birthday, I like to do a video featuring some sort of birthday-related event in the Pokémon series. Having already talked about the birthday ribbon and the destiny mark in previous videos, today let's talk about one of the more obscure presents you can receive once a year, this time in Generation 6. While idling on the bottom screen of Pokémon Me, the Pokémon of other trainers from the PSS will sometimes walk by, randomly deciding to move on or stay to hang out based on how fancy of a Poképuff you've set out for them to snack on. When 3 Pokémon are sitting in the center area, they will have a conversation before departing and leaving a gift behind. Normally, the contents of these gifts depend on the affection level of the Pokémon and if everyone in the group shared an evolutionary line or a type. But in the special case that it's the player's birthday, the first gift will always be a Supreme Wish Poképuff. Poképuffs come in 5 levels: Basic, Frosted, Fancy, Deluxe, and Supreme. The different flavors of each level are for the most part interchangeable, as it's the level of the Poképuff that affects how much affection it gives when eaten and how enticing they are to visitors when set out on the bottom screen. The one difference between puffs of the same level is that Supreme Wish and Supreme Honor Poképuffs are worth 10 affection rather than 6, will guarantee visitors leave slightly rarer presents, and last for 7 conversations before needing to be replaced rather than 5. I've never actually gathered all 6 varieties of Supreme Poképuff before, and as a collector of inconsequential things in Pokémon, I figured it would be a fun quest to collect the 6 Infinity Puffs of Pokémon Me. The first, as we've established, is the Supreme Wish Poképuff, which visitors will bring by on the player's birthday. This actually presents a bit of an immediate challenge, as to get visitors you need to see other Generation 6 players passing by your 3DS. Back when the servers for these games were active, this was a trivial matter of connecting to the internet and having a never-ending parade of passerby Pokémon visiting. But nowadays we need to fire up multiple 3DSs to force our Pokémon to hang out. From my testing, it seems that the friend code of the 3DS itself is what determines a unique passerby. Because we only have a handful of other consoles to send over visitors, we'll put out a really nice Poképuff to give them a high chance of staying to talk. After getting our gift containing the Supreme Wish Poképuff, we're not quite done with the lobby screen. Every time the player beats Champion Diantha or Champion Steven, the next gift they receive from guests that isn't a set drop like a Supreme Wish Poképuff will instead be a Supreme Honor Poképuff. Having done dozens of battles against each purely for the purpose of collecting ribbons, I'm not quite sure how many of these the game will remember it owes us, but without a constant stream of visitors to sit down with us going through and clearing out the backlog, it's probably more tedious than it's worth, as we need to restart the game each time we want visitors that have already visited this play session to reappear. The other 4 Poképuffs comprise their own group known as the Supreme Seasonal Poképuffs. These are weaker than the Supreme Wish and Supreme Honor varieties, but are easier to obtain consistently as they are available as prizes from the 3 minigames on offer in Pokémon Me proper. The first minigame, and easily the one I'm best at, is Head It, in which you just have to tap the Pokémon to knock falling yarn balls back into the air. Supreme Poképuffs only come from the endless difficulty of each minigame, with each difficulty being unlocked by beating the previous difficulty with a score of at least 3 stars. Head It maxes out at a score of 1998 points, with the in-game point counter capping at 999 and a bonus equal to our longest combo that also caps at 999. We don't need to get the maximum possible score to get our desired prize, however, and we only need a score of 800 points to get the Supreme Summer Poképuff. You might also notice that we got 2 Supreme Poképuffs here with the Supreme Spring Poképuff. Since there are only 3 minigames and 4 seasons, the Supreme Spring Poképuff is relegated to being an extra bonus alongside each of the other seasonal puffs. Next up is Berry Picker, which is basically like a simplified version of those restaurant simulator flash games in which you have to bring orders to a stream of customers within the time limit. Offer the wrong berry or take too long and the Pokémon will leave. Once we're in endless mode, like with Head It, we get 3 mistakes before the minigame ends. The minimum score required to earn a Supreme Poképuff in this minigame is 100, and it can be a surprisingly tricky ordeal to get to this number when I keep dragging the berry to the Pokémon's thought bubble instead of the Pokémon itself, or keep dropping the berry in the middle of transit. Our last minigame up is Tile Puzzle, easily the minigame I play the least and in my opinion a sharp increase in difficulty from the other 2. This minigame consists of progressively larger scenes of your Pokémon that get jumbled up, with our rating being tied to how fast we unscramble the image. Unlike the other endless difficulty minigames, instead of having 3 lives, the game ends when we run out of time. Starting with 30 seconds on the clock, we can regain 1 second for every correct pair of tiles we place, and after finishing a puzzle we get 30 seconds minus 1 for the total number of completed puzzles, giving back 29 seconds for the first, 28 for the second, 27 after 3, and so on. While there is a scoring system for Tile Puzzle Endless, the Pokepuffs we receive are actually tied to the number of puzzles we complete. But getting enough puzzles done to earn the final Pokepuff is rough if you aren't well acquainted with this game. As a brief rundown of the best practices for beating this as quickly as possible, the biggest tip is that each tile is only swapped once initially, meaning that with perfect play, every single swap will bring both tiles back to their original position. This also means that if you swap two tiles and they don't lock into place immediately, any further swaps other than swapping them back will add more swaps to getting everything into place. Like with almost any image-based puzzle, it's easiest to fill out the borders and then work your way inward. Unfortunately, even with my best efforts, I was hard stuck at 8 puzzles, as the large puzzle every 3 levels would sap so much of my time that I would burn through any time gained from solving the smaller boards. But that's not to say that I can't do this at all, I just can't do it the way the developers had in mind. See, because the board starts with a complete image and then does all the swaps in front of you, if you were to, say, record your gameplay through some sort of 3DS capture software and then close the 3DS to put it into sleep mode, you could play back that recording in reverse to see exactly which moves to make to unscramble the entire puzzle. Now this is really slow and certainly not the way Tile Puzzle was meant to be completed. But admittedly, if I cut out all the black space between swaps, you can barely tell that I'm cheating here except for the fact that the ranch tattles on me in the top left. Solving at least 17 puzzles in one sitting will award us our 6th and final delicacy, the Supreme Winter Pokepuff, completing our fitting spread of treats for our birthday celebration. As this video comes out, I'm currently on the road to New Orleans for the North American International Championships, so come say hi if you see me, and thanks for joining me on this bite-sized quest to conquer Pokemon Ami. And thanks for watching.